Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be doing another BMW mod to my BMW N55 engine. But this doesn't just apply to the N55 engine. This applies to all your BMW engines apart from the naturally aspirated ones. For that, you're going to need to do another modification because this is not suitable for them. But if you do have the N54, N55, B58, this mod will apply to you. I'm very excited to actually receive this. It only took a week to actually come in from the USA. Many of you will probably already know what this mod is and how highly talked about it is on the BMW market for the turbocharged BMWs. And I'm very excited to get it on my car as I want more power, especially because I've got all the mods on that car and obviously I need to adapt them to a kind of tune or to some kind of mod. And therefore I bought this and now we are going to go ahead and fit it. If you guys do want to buy it, I'll try and link them all in the description below. But I ain't going to talk anymore. Let's get onto the video and let's increase the power and torque to my BMW N55 engine.
Goddamn, get it done, will ya? Woo. When the blow up now, everybody's so unusual with it. Shit. But said times in his rhymes, cause his memories. We running through New York, so you know.
So as many of you will see here, this is my BMW M Performance N55 engine. Now this engine does have the pneumatic wastegate instead of the electronic wastegate, as many of the newer N55s have. But this mod does apply if you've got the PWG or the EWG, regardless. But it is very hard to source with the PWG, and I know it's probably the most wanted mod on the market for the PWG models because they don't even make it anymore. But I know the PWG one is the most wanted on the market because a lot of people get the PWG one where the PWG run from 2009 all the way to 2013. A lot of cars use the PWG, which therefore means a lot of people want that one more, which they don't make anymore because all the turbochargers these days have EWG, which is electric wastegate, which you can source them very easily. So I'm very lucky to actually get this, and this was one that I found very rare, brand new in USA, and I got it very quickly. Very happy with it. But we are going to go ahead and fit it to this engine. Many of you guys have been watching my videos, you've seen me work on the M5, but now it's back to this engine and we keep switching the engines up. But as I said to you, we need to get this car back ready. So I am going to go ahead and start installing the mod, and let's hope you guys actually enjoy this video and I'll show you how it all works after we get it fitted. So the mod in question that I'm going to be fitting to my BMW M55 today is this one right here. Many of you will probably know already what it is, but this is the Berger Motorsport JB4 for the N55 engine. And if you can see here, it's for the pneumatic wastegate, which is very rare. And if you don't believe me, you can go and ask Berger Motorsport themselves. They do not make these anymore for the pneumatic wastegate. Very hard to source this. Incredibly hard, especially for my engine, bearing in mind this was the last year of the PWG before they moved to EWG in 2014. So it was hard to actually source, but I got there. Now we are going to be installing this, and as many of you guys know, it's going to change the power output to the car. This is a piggyback tune, and you also can have a back end flash, be it MHD or a remap on your ECU as well with this running. But I ain't going to do that. I'm just going to do the piggyback flash because I think this is more suitable for my needs and for the mods I'm doing. I'm not going extreme at all, but if I wanted to, I mean, the JB4 is still capable of putting out extreme power for your mods. If you, for instance, you was to run ethanol or any kind of high stage tuning, this will be more than capable enough to actually proceed with that regardless of what you choose. Now inside the box you have the JB4 module. You can see all the different wires. I know it's going to scare a lot of you if you go to fit it because you're going to think, oh god, where do they all go? But it's not. Basically each CAN bus wiring here on the harness, you'll take out the plug from one connector and you'll plug the connector into here and plug this one into where the connector come out from. So it is very straightforward, and it's not as hard as you actually think. We are going to route everything around the whole car, and then what we're going to do is route the OBD port into the car through the firewall to be able to gain access to the actual JB4 module. Now I did have the Bluetooth device for this as well, but you know what, I did buy it and I thought, you know what, I'm not actually going to put that on. I'm just going to do this, install it, and then away we go. So you have in the box all your harness for the JB4 itself. And you'll see there the JB4 is really built very, very well. This is like a metal unit itself, so they haven't made you pay for some crap quality. It's literally metal and very, very solid, so it feels like a proper tuning box that you're actually paying for, and no cheap crap. You get all your harnesses with all your plugs that you need to plug them into. You'll also get your OBD port, which you're going to have to plug up to this once you actually install it in the car. And you'll also have your ground wire here, because they did build the live terminal into the JB4 now, so therefore you don't actually need that. You'll need your ground terminal, which will connect to the ground screw on the car itself once we get it all powered up. But for now, we're going to go ahead and install this. So to start, we are going to take off the engine cover, because regardless we're going to need this off. So we'll just take off the engine cover, and mine comes off very, very easy. So we are going to be routing it from the charge pipe sensor to the actual intake manifold sensor, which is the map sensor, to the fuel rail, to the turbo itself. Now, it isn't so hard to explain it, and I will be showing you as we go along how to connect each wire in situation, and therefore not to make it tacky either, so you can actually hide the wiring and make it look actually tidy. Now, bearing in mind in the US, you guys will be on my passenger side, so you'll be routing it through this side because you want the OBD port to come through here. But where I'm on the other side of the road, I need to route the OBD port down the other side through the firewall to my OBD port. Don't know if it will be easier or harder. We'll see when we get to that stage, but right now we're going to start routing everything and plugging up all the JB4. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take off all the plastics here, because we don't need to unbolt them because they ain't held on with bolts. I'm just going to remove that. And if you can see here, we've got a strut bar here, and this is where I think I'm going to bolt the JB4 module to it. And if you'll see down here where my hand is, we've got a grommet, which I'll show you later on, which we're going to pull out and route the OBD cable through to get into the actual area of the footwell, so I can put the OBD port in. But we are going ahead and just going to put the JB4 up here and then run the wiring already down to where we need to go. So if you can see there, this is the wiring harness for the JB4. We're going to throw that over here, and we are going to put the JB4 somewhere around here. We don't want to get in the way of anything, so we are going to have to be very careful as well how we do this. So this is our wiring harness, and what we're going to do is this is going to be our turbo pipe line straight here, which is going to be the blue one, which we're going to come around here, which is going to be around the main harness, and you'll see you've got the turbo plug right here. This is very, very easy to locate. We're just going to take it off, and then if you see here, you just want to clip it straight in, and they clip very, very solid, which is really, really good. They're not like the cheap Chinese plugs. And that one's on now as well, which that's now on already. So that's the first wiring loom on. So that one's on. Now what we're going to do is we're going to try and route the rest of the wires around here, with the harness, and just like that we got that through. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck this under the insulation here. I don't want it to get in the way, don't want the wires to end up damaged, so we'll tuck that here. Then what we're going to do is go around to the other side. So now we've got these this side. What we're going to do is we'll run these above here. This is our ground strap, we don't want that in the way, that needs to go here. So what we'll do is we'll run this along here in the cushioning if need be, and then we'll plug these in. So you can see which way they go. They're very, very simple to actually work out, because obviously you've got your plugs that go to only suit certain sets. So these two here are going to go obviously underneath, and you've also got these two as well. So what we're going to do with these is we're going to want to remove these off down here, and now we've got that plug off. What we're going to want to do here is very, very easy. You just want to connect this into here, and then you're going to connect this connector, which is what they call the rainbow connector, into the sensor right down here. It's very, very easy to actually plug up, and then you got your actual intake manifold absolute pressure sensor, which will go under here and to your fuel rail. So just disconnect that one. And then we'll connect that one into here. Then what you're going to want to do is locate your fuel rail at the back here. Now this one isn't mandatory, you don't have to connect this one, but I want to connect them all to be on the safe side. But Berger Motorsports JB4, they both say you don't have to connect it unless you're running an ethanol tune, but the fact is it's here, so I want to just connect it to be on the safe side. So now we've got that one off, and we just want to locate our sensors here, and then you just want to plug it in just like that. Then the other one goes to the fuel rail just like that. They're all in their position. Now what we do is, while that's all connected here, we can then try and tidy everything up. Okay, so I just want to show you guys. So this one right here, the rainbow colored one, goes to the throttle body, and obviously the map sensor, the throttle body's map sensor down here, the rainbow colored one. So this one will be yellow, red, green and black. Obviously anyone who knows cars should know brown is for the manifold absolute pressure sensor. It's brown and black, so it just uses normal colouring, so it just goes here. And then your fuel rail one goes here, which you can't mix up because the plug is different. The only two you can mix up is the manifold absolute pressure sensor and the throttle body sensor, because they're both the same plugs. They are colour coordinated, so you shouldn't be able to get it mixed up. But if you do, just remember brown and black goes manifold absolute, and the throttle body and obviously the turbo sensor goes down here, which is the rainbow coloured sensor. Not hard to remember. If you guys get mixed up, you can always refer to this video. But everything is now connected in the engine bay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort out all the wiring to put it back, so we can pull it down here and tuck it away, because obviously we don't want the wiring being in the way when we're doing things. So bearing in mind this is for, you know, like I said, USA cars, they do make it the other way around. So that's one of the issues we're going to have here. We're plugging in the OBD cable and hoping we've got enough lead. So what we're going to have to do is just make sure we've got enough before we go ahead and try routing it. So this is for the OBD plug itself. Just put plugs in there, and it should just be enough to reach to the OBD port, and we should be okay, thankfully. So if we are okay, that's a good thing. So we'll try and pull it all back and then connect this up after. So what we'll do is start routing that. Now, how we're gonna bolt this JB4 down, you're probably gonna ask me, is gonna be relatively simple. We are just gonna bolt it probably here on top of the strut bar, which is right here, because obviously I don't want it flapping about. So I'll probably just bolt it to here, to the strut bar right here underneath the car itself, which is underneath the panels. So now I'm going to try and route the OBD cable through the firewall, which is probably going to be the hardest part now, because I don't have enough lead, and I'm going to have to try and push this through, as well as the OBD port, which ain't going to be easy. So we've now removed the rubber bung that sits on the firewall so we can push the OBD cable through. We're going to try and figure out where it comes through in the car, and then I'll come back to you on the camera and let you know where that is. Okay guys, so you probably can see now how I've got it all routed. This is the first cable that runs off the T-map sensor, which is the throttle position sensor, and obviously the turbo pressure sensor, which is right there running off. Then as we go up, I've got all the other cables connected to the other manifold absolute pressure sensor underneath here, which is the brown ones. Then as we go over, I've routed all the cables over here into this bit, and that's purely because the OBD cable, as I said, isn't really fixed for UK cars. When this was made, it's made for American cars. Obviously it's not their fault. They didn't know it was going to be a big seller, but purely because it is, it's still made for the USA cars. Now, if you can see, I've run it all around there. And then as I've run it there, I've run the cables down here, which you'll see on boost solenoid right here, which is the other wiring that you need to connect onto your turbo boost solenoid. Then run the wires here underneath, and I've had to drop the box just down there. Now many of you will say to me, why have I done that? Well, there isn't no space to cable tie it here at all, and that's because the strut bar on UK cars, this is our driver's side, and if you can see, they put the brake servo this side, therefore we haven't got no space to lay it flat. if I pull it over the other side, which is the passenger side, the cable isn't long enough to actually reach, and therefore this don't end up closing up, which is for the bonnet cable right here, and I didn't want that. Now the OBD cable is just enough there. If you can see, I have got no actual extra room there at all on the OBD cable. It's actually overstretched going to the cable right down that side, and as I said, this is purely because it is a USA thing, not a UK thing, so therefore is a bit of a shambles having to put it in a UK car, because you're having to make everything fit and make everything adjust. I believe the JB4 box will be fine just down there anyway, because it's covered from the rain and out of the way of water, so it shouldn't have a problem. This area doesn't usually get wet, never known it to get wet with water, so therefore we should be okay. Now how I powered the OBD port, you'll see just up here when I've took this panel down, if you look directly above, you'll probably see there where I've run the actual cable. You can see it just here in the corner, and that's for the OBD port, and you can see it running out into the firewall entrance right there. Very, very easy to get to. As I said, if they probably had made the OBD the other way round, the wiring would have been okay, but they have made it that way, and that's what's made it very, very hard to actually make it fit. But I've made it work. Who knows what's going to happen now, because I can't actually seal it down, I can't bolt it down because it just won't go. The wiring's in the way of everything else, so unless I can find another way, it will have to stay like this. But that is it actually installed, and now we're going to put everything back together and then test it out. Okay guys, so now the JB4 is fully seated and connected. We've got the engine cover back on. We've only got left to attach the ground wire right here. Now obviously this is a ground wire, so you can attach it basically anywhere you want. Now as I said to you, I have dropped the JB4 just down here because we are in the UK. We don't have the space to put it on the strut itself, and I am going to now ground this lead properly so we can get the JB4 up and running, put everything back together, and then we're going to test everything out. Say it's a very, very straightforward install, and you should not get mixed up. As I said, the colors are clear and it's very, very easy to actually install. Engine cover covers most of the mess, and you only see this wire right here running from it, which goes round to where the JB4 is going. Once you put the covers back on, you don't even notice that part. So it's a very, very tidy install and very, very easy to install itself. Okay guys, so now I've fully installed the JB4 into my BMW N55 engine. As I said, this was made for American model BMWs. It is very, very different because everything is made for left-hand drive cars and not right-hand drive. Therefore, you have to figure out where you're going to put the module, how you're going to route the OBD cable, make sure there's enough wiring to go through. I've managed to put it all back together. I will be doing another video and a test drive showing you the difference and how to use all the modes on the JB4 module as well in a later video. But I hope this will actually help you install this if you're looking to actually do this to your N55, especially the PWG model, which is a Formatic wastegate. If you are, it's very, very hard to find, as I said in the beginning of the video. And if you do find it, good luck on actually fitting it, because I know it's going to actually transform the car. Just make sure you don't go past actually map 1, because obviously if your car's not fully tuned, and it depends on your mods, therefore you can end up destroying the engine. So that's something you do not want to be doing. So thank you very much for watching guys, and as you've seen now installed the JB4 to my car. I hope you've actually enjoyed this video and how it helps you somewhat actually install it, because it is something like a 5-year-old can actually do. Thank you very much for watching guys. It's BMW Dr. Dean here, and goodbye.